Hello and welcome to American Dream Vacation. My name is Virgil and I will be doing your orientation today on Unit 1804 and also Unit 191. They are the same models but just different numbers. So if you have that one, you'll be able to use this video for either one. First we're going to start off with the keys. If you see this round black handle key, that is a key that unlocks and locks the door handle. Okay, you turn it and it shows you which way to unlock it. This other black handle key here is the one that does the deadbolt. So you have two locks on the doors there, okay? And that locks it and unlocks it. And then this other key here, of course, is the key that does the driver's door and the passenger door. It also, of course, starts the truck, does the ignition. And then finally, you have the 751 key here. This key does all the compartments all around the motorhome. It also does compartments on most motorhomes and travel trailers. So if you have something important, you may not want to leave it outside because most people have this 751 key. Okay? So we're going to move up here. We're going to start off at the passenger's door. These mirrors will move in if you need to move them in. But if you have to move them in for whatever reason, you probably need to stop because you're too close to something and you're going to hit it if you have to move these in. And these adjust manually. So basically, you'd be sitting in the driver's seat and then someone would need to move them back and forth to get them set for you. Okay, moving right along, if you look at the very top corner up here, you'll see this is Unit 1804, and all the RVs will have those numbers marked on them at that spot like that, at least on the Class C's. We've already done all of the oil checks, and we have a multi-point inspection that we do on all the RVs before they go out. Once again, we talked about the mirrors over here, and they will move in and out. Okay. Over here, first thing we're going to talk about is your freshwater field. This is where you'd fill up your freshwater tank. So what that means is when you're driving down the road and you need water to the sink, to the shower, or so forth, you'll be using the water that's in this tank. And it holds probably anywhere between 35 and 40 gallons of water. So basically what you would do is you would take your water hose here and you stick it right inside of there and you let it fill itself up. Once the tank is full, it will start pumping water right out of that little spout on the side of the freshwater field inlet valve. Once it's full, you pull your hose out and then you recap it, okay? And over here, you have your city water connection. So if you're at a campground or if you're at your house or wherever, what you would do is you would hook this end of your 25-foot long freshwater hose to the faucet and make sure it has the big brass water pressure regulator on it. So that goes onto the faucet, and the other end will actually screw right into the side of the motorhome here. So then you have water on demand as if you were at home or wherever you would live. You don't have to use the water from this tank. This tank has nothing to do with this system here. Totally different. On board and then force water from your city water connection. Okay? This little deal down here is what drains your freshwater tank, so you don't want to open that up. Over here is your backup generator. Now, the way you open this up is you have these two levers here. You grab them and you turn them both to the right. You pull it towards you and you lift this up from the bottom and right out of there and just sit it down. There's a couple of things on this generator that you need to be aware of. Number one, where you see the yellow cap, that's your dipstick. Of course, you don't want to check this when it's running because it will spit oil out at you when it's going, so you don't want to do that. And over here is the button where you would start and stop your generator. You can start it from inside or you can start it from right out here. And there's a little toggle switch, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little toggle switch right down in here that resets the breaker on this generator. This toggle switch should be forward. And once it's forward, that means that you would get the power. If it's back like that, then it means it's tripped and you need to reset it. So just bring it forward again. The generator sucks fuel from the main tank. There is a siphon hose in the fuel tank that will pull fuel into the generator. When your fuel gauge at your driver's seat gets down to a quarter of a tank of fuel, this thing is going to shut off. So remember that, because if you need your generator, quarter of a tank, you're going to lose it, okay? So basically what happens if it shuts off, once you get more gas, you just try to fire it back up and she should start back up, okay? And to put this away, this cover, the first thing you do is you bring it up high and you hook the bottom in first. There's a little lip, you hook the bottom in and then you push it forward and then you lock those two levers that you undid and you pull on it just like that and then you make sure that generator is on there securely. Okay, over here you have an outside shower. Basically it's hot and cold water that you can use for whatever you need to use it for. You would have to have your water pump turned on in order to get this to work, or you have to have a water hose hooked to the side, and then you'd have water on demand out here as well. Okay, this is the back side of the hot water heater. As you will notice, you have this little vent here. When this hot water heater is on, heat comes out of here. So if you have little kids or have something leaned up against this RV, it will get hot. Also, the way you turn this on, I'll show you once we get inside, but it runs off of propane or electricity. It's a whole 6 gallons of hot water, so that means probably about a 3-minute shower before you're out of hot water. And it automatically starts bringing more water into the system. Down here, you will see your propane tank. And you see an indicator here that shows you from empty to full on the propane. This valve here is the valve that would close off the propane. So if there's a reason for you to shut it off, you just come out here and you turn this clockwise and shut it off. But if there are no situations where you need to close it, you basically just leave this open so the propane can flow from the tanks inside into the RV, and it works the hot water heater, the stove, the furnace, and the refrigerator. Okay? This yellow cap is if you're out somewhere and you use up all your propane, then you would need to uncap this, and you would need to go to a propane station where they would refill your propane tank. And that would be at your expense if you should have to buy more propane. Okay? Over here you have your power cord. This power cord is 25 feet long, and it is a 30 amp RV. A lot of you go to a campground, they're going to ask you if it's 30 or 50. And if you don't remember, it's right there posted on the side of the RV. This is 30 amps. This little adapter here, this adapter reduces the power from 30 amps to 15 amps. The only reason you would really use this is if you wanted to just plug this in overnight or keep your battery charged up or whatever. But if this is attached to your cord and plugged into a 15 amp outlet, you cannot run the air conditioner with this adapter on the power cord. If you do, you're going to either trip the breaker, you're going to melt the outlet at your house. Bad things are going to happen, so you cannot run the air conditioner with this 15 amp adapter on there. Okay. Over here, you have a little hookup for cable TV. We don't provide any coax cable. Some campgrounds have them, some don't, but that's what that's for right there. Over here, you have your fuel fill. It uses regular unleaded fuel. This RV holds about 58 gallons of regular unleaded fuel, okay? And then this little catch here is designed to hold this open. Down here is where you're going to dump your tanks. And if you don't remember anything else I've told you today, this part you need to pay attention to. So the first thing you want to do is when your tanks are full, you take this cap, you remove this section, and then you remove the cap, and then you would take your sewer hose and you put it on, you twist and lock it in, and then the other end of the hose would go down at your dump station into the ground. And if it's a twist and lock, you basically would twist and lock this in and make sure it's in place there. Once you're sure that's in place, then you come over here and then you'll be dumping your valves. So if you notice, you have this one valve here and it's much bigger than the other side, and it's also a black handle versus that one's a gray handle. So the black handle, the large one, is always the sewage, the toilet waste. So what you want to do is you pull this handle straight out and you drain off your black water or your sewage. Once it's done, you shake your hose, you make sure it's empty, you push it closed, and then you open up the other side there. And this is going to be the sink and the shower water. And what that does, that water is going to wash out your sewer hose. You must do it in that order. If you do it in reverse order, you won't make that mistake again. So once it's done draining, you push that one closed, you shake your hose, and then you kind of pick it up to snake all the water and stuff down into your dump station. And once it's done, then you remove the sewer hose from there, and then you take your main cap and then you recap it. So a little note to remember, if you're at a campground and they have a hookup at your station and you have your hose attached, do not leave these valves open. You open them as needed. If you open up the gray one, of course that water's going to run out, but the black one, that solid waste will not move freely through the tank and down through the hose. So leave it closed and let the pressure build up, okay? All right. Moving right along here, you come around to the back and you have this ladder. This ladder is not designed for you to go up on the roof. This ladder is for us to go up there and do any maintenance that may need to be done or check the roof. So please do not go up there and watch the race or watch any activity because it is dangerous and you shouldn't be on the roof. Then you have a storage compartment over here, and as you can see, you got some pretty good storage, and you also have a light in there, so you can store things in here. Once again, we talked about that 751 key here. That 751 key is what unlocks these locks all the way around the RV. This is the back side of the refrigerator. There's no reason for you to go in there unless we were having some type of issue and we were talking to you about that. That remains closed. And this is the back side of the furnace. And it also says hot. And if it's on, heat will come from there and burn your hands, okay? Over here, you have 2 electrical outlets, and these will only be active if you either have the power cord hooked up to the RV, where you have electricity, or if you have the generator running. I'm going to unplug this. As you can see down here, we've got a 30 amp plug here. That's what a 30 amp plug looks like. You got 3 prongs, and this is what your outlet should look like, okay? So I'm going to put that back in there. Just let me get over here and get a good angle on it. There we go. Put that back in there. So let's move back over to the RV. If you notice on this RV has a power awning. That means that basically you just push a button and that's going to bring your awning in and out. Some RVs have manual awnings, but today we're dealing with the power awning. So I'm going to open up inside here, and as we talked about the keys, this one here unlocks the deadbolt. So inside of here you have a screen door. You can have the main door open and then have the screen door on here, and that'll help keep the mosquitoes out and so forth, okay? And the way you do this is once you open it up, you push it over here and you latch it, and then they stay kind of connected. Okay, if you look inside of here, you're going to see a couple of switches. This one switch here, it says battery use, in use. That is the battery disconnect. There's no reason for you to turn this in the off position. That's how you would turn it off. That's how you turn it on. If you shut that off, you will not have any 12-volt power inside the coach. So keep that in mind. This other switch over here is for the awning. It says extend and retract. So we are going to hit this extend button, and as you can see, the patio awning is coming out. Some tips on the awning. On a windy day, you shouldn't open it up because it will get damaged. Or if it's raining outside, you don't want to have this thing open inside. Well, let's just sit under the awning in the rain. That's a bad idea because the water will puddle up in the middle and it will damage the awning. Okay, so that's your patio awning, and that's how she works. So then we'll bring it back in, and then we'll just hit retract, and we'll bring that awning back in. So bear with me while this comes in. Some other tips about the awning: don't go to sleep at night and leave it out. And if you do have it out and you are going to go off on a sightseeing tour or hiking, close the awning before you leave because you don't know if the wind is going to pick up while you're gone. Okay? So as soon as we get this back in, we will move right along. So we got the awning back in, and then over here we have another storage compartment, and if you look in there, you've got some pretty nice storage inside of there. All right? Okay. Thank you.